laid back. I'm too positive. I'm too excited. I have
Yes,
too much coffee already.
Too positive. Culture is gone bad. You shouldn't be that positive, that happy. I look very pink, which is not my color.
Well, but it's our color of our branding.
Yeah. Oh, that pink. No, I mean, my skin looks very pink, and I am naturally not so pink. I'm more like olive color, proper Mediterranean bitch.
Do you think you're changing your race,
Exactly.
Are you transitioning?
I'm transitioning from Italian to British. From Mediterranean to British.
I mean, careful, right? It's, it has consequences.
Yes, definitely.
Being British has very serious impact. Well, luckily, lately, you and I have been escaping Britain for a few occasions. Did you go to Paris?
I went to Paris. I've been to Paris. I lived in Paris many years ago, so it was not a new city for me. I lived in Paris when I was 20, and it's always nice to go back. And I've been back many times, but this time was very good for several reasons, some of which I cannot mention, and some of which I can.
Mystery.
But I went to see countless cemeteries, which is always my favorite place. If you want to understand the living, my motto is: if you want to understand the living, go and see how they treat the dead.
Wow, how comes?
Well, I guess you cannot. You have a constant availability of people. Like, think about in Paris, in Montparnasse, where I went, Susan Sontag, Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir, Émile Durkheim, all those great people are constantly there. You can see their grave, the testimony of their lives, and very much celebrated. It's just very weird to see Sartre and de Beauvoir being celebrated in a very cheesy way, as if they were rock stars, with people leaving kissing the grave and leaving actually stains of makeup. And it's very, very weird always. And then I went to Montmartre as well, but I didn't have the time to see it properly, but obviously I've been there many times before. Yeah, Paris.
Interesting. I mean, I'm always fascinated by cemeteries, even though I never reflected on them from a perspective of us appreciating sort of a life in a sense of, from that perspective. I think it's a very aesthetic place, but it does make me think about how temporary everything is, and also made me project how many different lifestyle and choices people had in the past. And it's also, I think, an object of fetish, like people don't want just to fade away. We want something monumental left behind them. I always find it very ironic.
Yes. Have you ever been to that in London there are 7 cemeteries, the Magnificent Seven, they're called?
I mean, yes, I live next to one.
Yeah, exactly. One is in my land here. And of the one I visited is the least beautiful. But the most beautiful being the Brompton Cemetery in West London, when the Marquis Casati is.
Oh, something to aspire, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also the one in North London, the Highgate Cemetery, makes me crack every time, because you've got the grave of Karl Marx, and people have to pay a ticket to see the grave of the founder of communism.
With capital.
They capitalize even the philosopher who argued against capitalism. That I think it's fantastic.
Well, National Trust bought cemeteries, so you think you own something, maybe the entire your life. Well, no, it won't happen. Well, ironically speaking of Karl Marx, I felt like this had a huge presence in my visit to Madrid recently.
Oh yeah, you've been to Madrid.
I've been to Madrid, yes.
Was it the first time?
Madrid, yes. First
I've
time.
never been.
You've never been? Well, GP, I'll put it this way. I don't get pleasure from traditional idea of tourism. And to be honest, I don't necessarily fetishize the idea of holidays and traveling that much. But for me, the visit to Madrid was a huge cultural shock. I mean, it sounds funny, right? I think a lot of people from Britain go there for holiday.
Not to Madrid, though. They would go to Marbella, to those trashy places in the south of
Malaga.
Spain. Yeah.
Ibiza. The thing is...
They don't go to Prado, that's for sure.
Well, I did, and I really enjoyed it. I think I messaged you. I looked at some of Annunciation paintings, and it literally made me cry. I mean, very Renaissance, but it's very easy, I think, to disregard what Spain also used to be empire, just like our favorite Great Britain.
Yeah.
And how much art we have managed to acquire is really impressive. We have the best examples of each great painter. You can think of Velázquez, Rubens, El Greco, Hans Holbein. Like we actually,
Bruegel.
Yes, but you know what? We obviously Picasso, Miro, but I think we often tend to project, at least I used to, what a lot of most recognized paintings are kept in Britain, in France, but actually they have a lot of paintings, maybe not so well known, not all of them, but we have a lot of unique artworks, but nevertheless, I think they're incredibly beautiful. But something which was my absolute favorite place. So if I ever happen to be in Madrid one day, the place I will definitely visit will be Reina Sofia. This is a contemporary art gallery, which is like, I would say, equivalent of Tate Modern or Centre Pompidou. But honestly, Drupi, I was absolutely taken away, mesmerized by the level of curation. So intelligent, so profound, quite avant-garde, very conceptual, but we don't necessarily give you any moral lessons there. I thought it was very refreshing. And that's why I was thinking about Karl Marx. A lot of contemporary art, and it's definitely influenced by Latin America. We do have a lot of Latin American artists there. It is raising social issues of housing, activism, economy, politics, corruption, but they kind of just give them for, look, we all are being abused or oppressed in one way or another, and they demonstrate a lot of art which makes you reflect on the society in which you live and how capitalism functions. But I don't think we necessarily try to very much say we used to be empire and now we want to apologize to everyone. We kind of just present it for face value.
This is, to be honest, Spain is continental Europe, and continental Europe is very different from England and the North America, because the morality works in a different way. It doesn't have south of Europe has a Catholic or Orthodox sort of ethics, which is very different from the Puritanism of England and America. Therefore, even those morality is treated in a different way, not in the Puritan way. And unfortunately, museums today who do what you're saying, the sort of moral lessons, do so because they are translating in secular terms something that is deeply religious, which is the oppressive Protestant idea of morality, so the Puritan morality. So obviously I'm going to expect something different from south of Europe. Yeah, I mean, you should see the way in which things like Me Too and all those things are received in the south of Europe has been very, very different than north of Europe. Yeah, no,
this is, I think, very refreshing. And it also reminded me how capitalism flourishes in the UK. And I think it became on the edge of ridiculousness. I think we all participate in it. And I think we often kind of accept it to be such a suitable mode of operation, but we don't even recognize it. And I think going to Spain, to some extent, made me reflect and appreciate capitalism from a very different perspective. Yes, absolutely, we all are being oppressed by this system, but at the same time, Madrid what really stood out for me, we're not that much capitalizing every single opportunity. We're not selling you coffee for £10, saying, we only have equal opportunities employed in this coffee shop, and it's made from organic local farmers' milk. And actually, if you buy this coffee, your soul will be salvated.
Zizek used this example of the coffee to say that Starbucks does exactly what you're saying. 1% of the price of this cup of coffee goes to starving people, so that they can sell you not only the problem, but including the price, also the solution to the problem.
Yeah, and you also feel like a good Puritan.
Yeah, but in fact, as you know, I'm not very far from being communist, and I'm certainly not a moralist when it comes to capitalism. I think that, like it or not, free economy and capitalism in the West has achieved also some amazing things. I know it's not a popular opinion amongst podcasters, but I do believe that, compared to, and you come from a country that met communism and the attempt at canceling capitalism, and it didn't go any better. So the point for me is not so much capitalism as a problem, but the attempt of capitalism to redeem itself by pretending to be its opposite. That's the facade of socialism that capitalism is putting on. That's the real threat for me.
I think it's also a problem what we become identified. We start to identify with objects we can buy, with some sort of an endless flow of status symbols, like American Psycho extreme version. And I think we stopped questioning, like everyone just buying this coffee, paying 1% to someone. Like every time these days you do a checkout at any supermarket, they offer you to round up the sum to donate to some charity.
Yeah.
Like what charity? What are you doing? Like you're just trying to take some money away from me. How do I even know where they go? I find it's ridiculous.
But even if you know, there is, I think, another problem, and this is something that Lacan, the French psychoanalyst Lacan, said very beautifully when he described love as love for Lacan is, he says it in a very contradictory way. He says love is giving other people what you do not possess yourself. Love is giving what you don't possess. The opposite of charity, which is giving people what you possess. Okay. So for Lacan, love is trying. We are lacking individuals, right? Nobody is whole, which is the reason why we look for contact with friends, with loved ones, with lovers. We seek to complete ourselves, okay? We seek to achieve that completeness that does not belong to anyone. Now, love is trying to fulfill the intrinsic lack that the loved one has. So you want to give them what you don't have yourself, that sort of completeness that everybody is missing. So that ambition to give something impossible is love, the opposite of charity, which is giving what you possess and then clearing your conscience with it. So yeah.
But on the other side, I will say, yes, it is important to reflect on, and what is what we do throughout Reina Sofia, what is actually going on, like what government is saying to us, what society is telling us. I think it's a very healthy approach not to just agree with everything and question things. And I think especially in London, it is very easy to stop questioning everything and just be absorbed by the lifestyle, because everyone is very, very commodified here. It's a true reality. But simultaneously, I realized the sort of a facilitation of comfortable lifestyle, if you can afford it, is much more advanced in London in a capitalist society. And in Madrid, you absolutely get with Southern Europe, like with people dancing, people are more relaxed, fashion aesthetic nearly non-existent, hardly any big brand shops are there. So I think it's a very different lifestyle.
Yeah,
but here...
I want to launch a provocation, as you know, which is my favorite thing to do. Now, there is a book by Gilles Lipovetsky called The Empire of Fashion. I don't know if you read it, but if you happen to read it, it's very beautiful. It's this very controversial French sociologist who wrote also about fashion and marketing, etc. And Lipovetsky in his book traces a social history, let's say, of fashion since the past, not just today. But then he gets to a conclusion. Fashion is important for society, seen as a force that helps democracy in society, precisely because it's superficial, precisely because it commodifies you. And by commodifying you, it's removing the attention from other things, so that by creating superficial relationships where we care about superficial things and items that you can purchase, you remove the attention from deep things such as religion, political opinions, and therefore somehow fashion, by focusing on the surface, removes the weight from things that create actual social conflict. So instead of, for instance, according to him, you can have terrorism only where you have people who think too deeply about religion, about, I don't know, about political ideas. If you live in a more superficial society, you don't risk to create those conflicts that bring society apart sometimes. So there is also something good in consumption. That's what that's the provocation of Lipovetsky.
You know what? I'm actually very curious about it, because exactly what I said. I feel in a way there are more choices. Yes, you sometimes have to be oppressed in order to get these choices in capitalist world. But I think in terms of options of what you can do, they are much greater in capitalist system than compared to socialism. And
totally.
Yeah, but you love, but I think today contemporary society is, very much into socialism. Karl Marx is having a huge revival, especially I think young people, where there's a big fondness of these ideas. But it's quite ironic how, I think Karl Marx said, what everyone should do, what we're really good at, rather than to be oppressed by having this career, which, just getting some value out of them. However, in a way, there are ways in this system. They are not straightforward. You have to, find your way around it. But there are ways to use the system to your benefit. And I think in a way, it's much more advanced. And, you, like you say, you can consume fashion, you can consume cuisine, you can be into this lifestyle, you can, I don't know, you can go to gym and take endless selfies.
You will tolerate your neighbor better if you focus on superficial things, and you don't pay attention to, oh my gosh, they are worshiping that different God. Oh my gosh, I need to counter that. So bringing things, but I do agree with you that Marx is facing another, it's meeting another unprecedented success today, but very different Marx. Is not the Marx of the 19th century or even the early 20th century. Today's Marx is the postmodern interpretation of Marx, is the cultural Marxism, which has somehow superseded the class struggle with identity struggle. So it's not analyzing society as the poor versus the rich, which is obviously a very understandable idea, to divide society into identities. So it doesn't matter whether you are poor or rich. The only thing that matters is whether you are gay or straight, white or black, and etc., etc. So it's cultural Marxist shifts uses the principles of Marx, but removes the class. And this creates this very peculiar and contradictory situation today, whereby the Marxists are rich, privileged intellectuals, and then the poor people who would be more interested in the old-fashioned Marxism are completely somewhere else. So it became the preserve of privileged intellectual people. So yeah, I'm not really sure that Marx would be very happy today about the way in which he's being used.
I'm not sure he's ever been happy.
Marx and happiness don't belong together.
I don't think it's his vibe. Yeah. But I can tell you one thing for sure. In current climate, high gate cemetery should raise the entrance fee, because it's in demand and we live in capitalist world.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Demand.
Oh, but they are doing. I am sure they are exploiting this. As
but they should call it what is it? Elastic price. The price which
that goes up. Yes.
Well, yeah, very, very fascinating how close we are to Europe. And I guess it's a
And
very
how far?
good. Well,
Also.
Brexit happened for a reason. It really, shows what.
I mean, there is this interpretation of David Stark. Do you know David Stark? Is this historian, very, very, very good historian of the especially Tudor period, and he is very much hated in Britain because on the one hand, he's very appreciated because he did some great TV shows where he taught history to to the Brits on TV. But on the other hand, he's very much hated because he's very conservative. Also, he's an old man, so he's got a very old-fashioned idea, but he's extremely intelligent. Nobody can deny he's intelligent. And he says that Brexit is nothing but a British tradition, because there has already been a Brexit in history, which is when the Church of England separated from the Catholic Church. That was the first Brexit in history. You know, when Henry VIII divided the Catholic the Church of England. So it was, at the time, Europe was the church, because there was the unifying force in Europe, and he brought England away from the European Union of the time, the Catholic Church. So yeah, it is in the spirit of the Brits, historically speaking.
And in my spirit, I think visiting places, maybe it's very limited experience in one way, but I find like seeing art and culture and a bit of history is, and even visiting religious institution is much more profound, rather than, I think, a lot of selling points which are presented here about Spain. So it's very interesting place, Madrid. I wouldn't say Madrid was that fascinating. I guess, just like any other big capital city in Europe. But the collection of art we acquired and how we curate contemporary art is very profound, intelligent, and well structured. I was incredibly impressed, and I go see a lot of art. So I was like, wow, very impressive. I just really wish it would translate into fashion. The fashion aesthetic is absent. Well, speaking of communists, have you watched the new Netflix documentary about Marilyn Monroe?
Oh my gosh, I tried.
You tried?
And failed.
You failed?
Yes, because I despise these documentaries conceived like that. I watched like 20 minutes and then I was like, no, this is not for me.
Okay, I watched the whole thing. And I watched it on a plane, so maybe that's why I was trapped. So. I was trapped on a plane. But God, I nearly missed my flight as well
because of it.
I started watching it in the airport, and I kind of got absorbed. I nearly missed my flight. Anyway, I got in the plane, and they closed the door straight after me. The plane took off. Yeah, I was the last person. Never happened to me before, you see. Well, I have to confess. I think Marilyn Monroe is one of these people who had a profound influence on me and who I am today. Yeah. I don't know, what do you have of a guest? Well, look, as a child, I remember we had this VHS player. And when I was growing up, VHS was on the format you can buy movies on. Yeah. And every week I would go to VHS store and buy another movie with Marilyn Monroe. Like, I think I discovered probably my still favorite movie, and one of the first movies I watched, Some Like It Hot. Yeah. I think it's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, but there's no question about her value. That's not why you didn't like the documentary.
No. What I mean, I have read a lot of books since then about her. I have watched a lot of documentaries. I remember since I was a child, I even bleached my hair. I had I think obsession with Marilyn Monroe.
I think you should go back to being Marilyn Monroe style.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Drippy. I might end up, taking all these sleeping pills and...
No.
Yeah, I think it's very...
Alive. I need you alive.
You need me alive?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, we've got to sort out technical difficulties, right? With our podcast recording. But, I it's just like, I'm a big fan. Like, I really, not that I know every single thing about her, but I did a lot of research. And I remember even at school, I was so obsessed. I wanted to write an essay. And I think the teacher called my parents to school to say that it's inappropriate for someone my age is interested in a female who's taken drugs, like, killed herself and all that. Yeah. Like, there were some issues, like, but I'm a huge admirer. I think she's a brilliant actress. She's so charming, and she really symbolizes America. I think there are two people who, in my superficial vision of America, symbolize it: Charles Manson and Marilyn Monroe.
Well, that's why Marilyn Manson.
And I'm also a fan.
Of course, yeah.
Anyway, I watched the whole documentary, and I'll tell you what, Juppie, nothing new, specifically, nothing new. Like everything I read, I've seen before. I probably already heard about it. But I think it's very sad what she kind of became, in a way, perfect example of being oppressed by capitalism and also taking a huge advantage from it. Like, perfect example. She became this celebrity. She is a symbol of Hollywood up to today. And I think a lot of our culture is still mediated by her.
Yeah.
But on a personal level, what this documentary shows really well, and I guess any other research she'll do before, it really demonstrates it. Because sometimes she's presented like a mad woman, and I don't think she was mad.
Well, she must have had some problem. I think it ran in the family.
Well, that's very interesting. The documentary actually shows, they found the records of her doctors, and they just said, she just had tendencies, but she was not as mad as like anyone else in her family. But the thing is, she just happened to strongly identify with the idea that she needed to find a man, have a family. And in all like interviews with her doctors, she kept on like saying, how much she wants to achieve that. And I think she disregarded her incredible career, talent, beauty, charisma, her social circle. I think she like went from one relationship to another with people who were abusing her. Yeah. And the documentary presents like what the last drop was with Kennedy brothers, with whom she had an affair, and how they left her. And apparently like sometime after they left her, like this was the night when she's taking over pills, like very messy story. But it really demonstrates what I feel like the sort of a tragedy of her was what she let herself become obsessed with an idea with someone else. Like when you were saying about people identifying and looking for someone to add value to their life, not finding value within themselves. Because, from us, obviously, just on the side of observing her, she kind of had it all, right?
Yeah.
But in her interpretation, she had nothing. And this is what we show in the record. So what she thought she was absolutely worthless, there was nothing she had very negative idea about herself.
Yeah. So the reason why I didn't like the documentary, and unfortunately I cannot speak about Marilyn Monroe because there is no Marilyn Monroe in the documentary for me. Meaning that I am like you. I love Marilyn Monroe. I love her movies. I read books about her life. So I am. What I don't like in documentaries, and unfortunately that's the Netflix philosophy about documentaries, is that the director and the device need to disappear and make me see the person the documentary is about. And unfortunately, by looking at these documentaries that Netflix is producing, the same with Andy Warhol, to be honest, I always see the infrastructure, the device of the documentary. I always see somebody saying, I knew her, I became interested in her. So is the documentary about her or about you? So that's what I don't like. I don't like when I want to watch a documentary about Marilyn Monroe and the documentary becomes about the documentarist talking about Marilyn Monroe. That's something that I can't stand. And the same thing works with nature documentaries, which I consume a lot. I hate documentaries where you only see the documentarist talking about my passion for insects began when I was 5 years old. I don't give a shit. Talk about insects. So the only one who I can stand on screen is David Attenborough, because he really he always uses himself as a very effective medium to talk about nature. So he's the only one that I really like when I see on screen. But
he's very cute.
Yeah, he's amazing. But the others, whenever I see the device behind the documentaries, etc., is a disturbing presence. That's not what I'm watching this documentary for.
Yeah, this old guy as well. Like I kept on looking at him, who was like the guy who was doing investigation, and I couldn't help myself. I kept on imagining like, oh my God, you must be some old pervert who like really like probably fetishized about Marilyn Monroe, and now like Netflix gave you a chance to like,
yeah, I don't know.
It's like, yeah, I know what you mean. I kind of, but I really disconnected from like his narrative, and I really focused on all this like documents he ditched from archives about Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, I knew that she had this tradition with the analyst. This is not a new thing. I knew that she had this idea. She essentially recorded everything and then sent the recordings to the analyst. I knew that the recordings existed, so this is no new evidence.
No, yeah. I agree. For me, the most hilarious part about this documentary, so apparently he found some archives. I don't know, I haven't heard about it. Apparently the CIA, they were watching her, obviously because she was having an affair with Kennedy. Yeah. Apparently they recorded all their sex as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're like recording of them like having sex every single occasion. I imagine, like, you know, it's quite ironic because her studio kept on like, telling her, because there were some nudity pictures from her early career, like, so she could not have any nudity images, but sex recordings are. Anyway, so they said, well, apparently she had some friends in Cuba who were communist, and it was time of Cold War, so they actually thought she was a communist and she was influencing Kennedy when she was talking to him about nuclear weapons. And she's like ridiculous, but there are like literally records where they say that Marilyn Monroe is associated with communist and extreme like left ideas.
Wow.
Yes, and I was like,
I mean, at the time, the McCarthyism was these themes where everybody was seen as a communist.
Of course, but I just think like, what the fuck? Like, you really think the icon of Hollywood, Marilyn Monroe, is a communist? Like, this is the best like thing. Like, I just think it's ridiculous. Like the whole narrative. The person who is glorifying the image of capitalism, who is the symbol of America's biggest production of that time, the product of a cinema, entertainment. You saying she is a communist? Ridiculous.
Well, it's not something impossible. But no, I mean, I'm not saying it happened. Of course, it didn't happen. But I'm saying that there are, for instance, Mata Hari, the great spy, who was a spy for two different nations opposing each other, etc. She was actually a dancer. She was a star at the time, and she was a spy as well. And also there were many rumors about Marlene Dietrich and contemplating the idea of becoming an agent for the United States, and because Hitler was in love with her, so she contemplated the idea of becoming an agent of the United States, go to Hitler, sleep with him, and kill him on behalf of the United States. So it is not something that we didn't see happening in different forms. Yeah, but
no, you know what? I completely get what you're saying, and I think with these examples, Mata Hari, Marlene Dietrich, yeah, that could be the case. But I think it really shows that for Marilyn, she had other priorities.
Totally.
Like, I think this sort of narrative is suitable for people who you can tell they are very much absorbed in themselves, and they have some sort of interest in espionage because they don't have any attachments to human connections, so to say. Marilyn, like, you can tell, like, she had issues, and these issues are very much linked to her relationship with people. So that was her priority. And, that's why we show this footage of her singing, Happy Birthday to President. I mean, another incredible reference to what just happened recently in New York, the Met Gala.
Oh my gosh, I think that Kim Kardashian is a genius. Every time.
Do you think she could be a spy as well?
Listen, every time we comment on Kim Kardashian on red carpets. We talk about Kim Kardashian. The woman is able to, in an era in which everybody does the weirdest things to get the press attention, and being weird is the most banal thing you can be. It's very difficult today to do something weird enough to grasp attention. The one person who always succeeds in doing this is Kim Kardashian. When everybody expected her to go naked, she went dressed completely in the black. Do you remember? Yeah. Balenciaga overall. And now with the Marilyn dress, I mean, just a genius could conceive all those looks that are always able to grasp attention. So yeah,
it's actually very American, like I said, because I looked at all the rest of outfits, and it's again a bit like Grammys horror show.
Oh my
so
gosh,
much gothic,
so like ugly.
Like I'm telling you, gothic like theme is really bad.
No, I think it's not even the goth is a trend, is looking for ugly things so that people can
recover from a trip to Bath.
Exactly. They did it for me. They did it for me.
Next time you also because you should just Google red carpet.
Like there was that horrible Christopher Kane dress on that transgender woman, that actress who played 13 Reasons Why. Now the dress was horrendous on the girl. Now the reason why they feel, I think, confident in choosing very ugly outfits is because you're putting them, I don't know, on a plus size actress or on a transgender actress, or then they become uncriticizable. Okay, so you are forced to talk about the look because it's so ugly that needs to be talked about, but you can't because you cannot somehow say the wrong thing. Okay, so the problem with the Christopher Kane outfit is that it was very if it didn't fit the body of the actress in question. So Christopher Kane or the stylist should have thought of a dress that followed the body shape a little bit more, but it gave a lot of focus to the waistline, and the actress did not have a particularly thin waistline. But you realize how weird it is to say these things, because you cannot do body shaming. At the same time, if you cannot do body shaming, and if everything you say is body shaming, it means that you can only say that it's beautiful even when clearly it's ugly. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, I think it was very ugly. And I think that actress deserved better than that. And so most other actresses and actors in the Met Gala, most of them deserved better. The only brand, unsurprisingly, that did not disappoint was Atelier Versace. Atelier Versace creates some beautiful clothes. They were really looking to be beautiful, not to be weird so that somebody can write about them. They were very well thought, very well conceived, they followed the body shape. You can see that Donatella Versace was thinking in terms of wanting to make the person wearing her dresses look good. And this is something that we are completely missing today in red carpets. Looking good is not the point anymore. It's having journalists talking about how weird it is or how, innovative it is, but looking good has disappeared. And God bless Donatella Versace for giving a little bit of relevance to beauty still. Also, I like the Pierpaolo Piccioli's Valentino looks as well, but I think Donatella was the best designer.
Do you think Kim Kardashian makes always decisions, or do you think she's got a very smart marketing or PR team or agent behind her?
Well, it's very difficult to disentangle the two, because it's like when Lady Gaga was making, I mean, she's still a total icon, but Lady Gaga, when she appeared with the mid dress, the idea was Nicola Formichetti, but at the same time, Lady Gaga was a big part of it. So I think it's a collaboration, really. I mean, Kim Kardashian has stylists helping her, I'm sure she does, but also she is very good at understanding, and also she's got the personality of making choices that when she makes them don't look ludicrous. the same. My feeling is that some of her dresses on other people's bodies would feel like ludicrous, but she's got charisma somehow, and I'm not a fan, so I'm not, you know. Yeah, I think that some decisions are hers.
No, I mean, I guess Kim Kardashian, she also doesn't go for extremes in terms of emotions. Like, she always seems to be very composed, like regardless of
I mean, after the Botox, you can't really move your face. Anyway,
well,
I should know.
Yeah, you have first-person experience after all. Yes, but I also think still, like, she doesn't go dramatic. Like, I think she seems to be very even throughout her whole presentation, like her career. But also, like, she's not in her 20s as well. Like, she is definitely. How old is she? I think
35.
I think she.
No, maybe she's 39. I think she's older than I am.
I think she could be older than 40.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, really? No.
I think we should fact check that.
Let's fact check.
Let's fact check Kim Kardashian age. But yeah, I think this is very important. We must absolutely check it right now. But I guess, you know, maybe with age people get a little bit calmer. But then again, I think you're right. This is a talent to make things look good and not ridiculous, especially as you get older as well. I think it's very easy.
She's 41. You're right.
She looks good.
She's very good.
You know what? I'll tell you one thing. Speaking of looking good, Gwen Stefani, whoever her plastic surgeon is, I would like his name. Please.
I mean, I thought she died or something. She had a moment of fame in the mid-2000s, and then she disappeared, wiped away by Lady Gaga. It was a moment between Madonna and Lady Gaga, okay, where we were waiting somebody to be. And Gwen Stefani had a moment. All the gays were listening to Gwen Stefani, and then she kind of fades in the background, and now she appears again. And looking amazing. I was like, what the hell?
I want the name of her plastic surgeon.
Yes.
Like,
same.
Honestly, like a lot of people get job done. Like Khloe Kardashian, she looks just odd, just creepy.
Yeah.
But Gwen Stefani, whatever we've done with her, she looks really good.
She's really good, yes. I mean, I also need Bella Hadid's plastic surgeon. Did you see the pictures of Bella Hadid before?
Yes, I think I've seen some.
Two different, not even two different people, two different species. So she became so amazingly beautiful and sophisticatedly beautiful, if that's a word, with plastic surgery. So that defeats all the ideas of those people who think, oh, plastic surgery can only ruin you. Well, it depends how much you pay for it.
But I mean, it also depends on, like, I don't know, maybe luck. I mean, I guess there's a chance of luck, maybe.
Yeah, also, I think it's a matter of taste, being able to guide your plastic surgeon and telling your plastic surgeon what you want, trying to be beautiful, not to be younger. That's another thing.
No, I think you said it right, like sophisticated beauty. I think
doing little things, not knowing what is realistic for you to obtain and what is not realistic for you to obtain.
I mean, Marilyn Monroe had plastic surgeries.
Did she?
Yes, she had her chin done, she had a nose job, but yes, we even, I think, had to redo her chin at some point because she had like this sponge and it kind of wore out. Yeah, I mean, she had like minor surgeries, but I think like this is it. They just made her face more proportional.
I mean, at the time, plastic surgery was in a different stage as well. It was the early days of plastic surgery. It's not. The rhinoplasty is very old. Is a very, very old procedure, even though it was not widespread. But yeah, implants were definitely a new thing.
Yeah, but I think, you know, Marilyn Monroe was very charismatic, but her face had very achieved with symmetry, which was incredibly suited for her. And yeah, it's quite interesting how some people age well, but I think it's not only what you rightly said, it's not about even looking young. No. It's about having this sophistication. I sometimes look at people who don't have anything done and they have wrinkles in their skin, and the whole skin, like, actually I think symbolizes their life journey in a way, because you can see like this person lived a life. Because when you look at young face, there's no story behind. You can only like really get a lot of meaning and interesting concepts, I think, from people who had life experience in a way. And I think our culture badly obsessed with youthfulness, but I don't think this is what really sets the mark. It's more about some sophistication, intelligence.
Also because youth, I always thought, is wasted on young people.
Indeed.
Because young people don't understand what they have, therefore it's wasted on them, should be given to older people. So yes, no, but jokes on aside, I really think we give too much credit to youth. And yeah, it's just, there is so much beauty in, I don't know, older women, older men. So it's really, beauty is not necessary, should be disentangled from youth.
Exactly. I think this is very wise concept, Rupi. Well, do you have any other thoughts? Any other interesting observations of bad culture you've seen recently?
Yes, just one. I watched 2 episodes of The Gilded Age, speaking about bad plastic surgery, and Cynthia Nixon is in there, and also Christine Baranski. And you know Christine Baranski, the one who I think is pronounced Baranski, is the one who played on the amazing series called The Good Wife and also The Good Fight, where she's a lawyer.
Maybe
in an African-American firm.
Her name doesn't ring a bell.
So she is a very good actress, and in the series she is amazing, and Cynthia Nixon is also amazing. It's so amazing that makes you forget the bad plastic surgery that Christine Baranski, I think, had. So her abilities as an actress take the attention away from her failed lifting, but yeah, so it's very interesting. Is a costume, it's the old New York, is the Victorian New York. It's very interesting. We will talk about it later on, because I think it will be a major hit, especially for fashion lovers. It achieves everything that, I mean, I just watched 2 episodes, but in these 2 episodes achieves everything that Bridgerton failed to achieve.
Is there any sex?
No, very little. Fortunately, very little sex.
All right. Well, so we'll have to outsource it from our.
And
possible...
stay tuned for more news on the Gilded Age.
Gilded Age. Okay. Well, I'm going to check it out as well, because I haven't seen. And until that, culture gone bad. Very, very bad.